If you want your own website, something cool, you got to go to Squarespace, you guys. Squarespace includes hosting, analytics, 24/7 support. You can get a website. You can get a vlog. That's a video blog. A vlog. That's for almost showbiz people. Hey, have you seen my vlog? Well, maybe it would be cool if you use Squarespace. You get a free domain name when you sign up for a year. Start with clean, beautiful templates, and then easily customize it to look the way you want it to look, man. With responsive design, your website automatically scales to fit perfectly on every device. Every Squarespace template has its own customized mobile view, man. $8 a month for the standard plan. You might think to yourself, that's cool. $16 for their unlimited plan. $24 for the unlimited plan in an online store, man. $24 unlimited plan online store. You could sell merch. You could sell lozenges. It doesn't matter. It's yours, man. For a free trial, go to squarespace.com. And when you're ready to purchase, click enter an offer code under pricing at checkout. Use the offer code J6, J-A-Y-6 for 10% off. Did you hear those words? Free, 10%. That's cool, dude. J-A-Y-6, J-A-Y and the number 6. And you'll get your 10% off and a free trial. Or go to fakemustache.com and click on the Squarespace banner on the More Stories page. Squarespace. Everything you need to create an exceptional website.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Are we putting our names on it? Is it time to put our names on it?
Maybe.
Bartholomew, Nathaniel, at 4 Barry Katz, right?
At the number 4 Barry Katz.
The reason I say it up front, and welcome back, Warriors and friends of the podcast. Barry Katz is back, the 100%er. You and Uncle Dan, still the only 200%ers. You guys had a battle royale arguing about banks, and you both came out 100%ers.
Which was shocking.
People should follow you more on Twitter. You don't have many followers, but you're incredibly inspirational and positive, and everything this podcast stands for. You have great tweets. You choose wisely your time, and when you do tweet, it's something like super inspiring and cool.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm embarrassed to say those who can't manage. So I've tried to assist a lot of people in doing social networking things, but myself, I think I've been on Twitter. Maybe it's 3 months or something like that, or maybe
creating holy shit Twitter moments.
So,
Barry Katz, you're a big Hollywood manager. You helped me incorporate in the state of Delaware. Do you know I'm incorporated in the state of Delaware? You told me I'd get incorporated. My first check from Camp Wilder. Do you remember how much it was?
I don't remember how much it was, but I remember that incorporation research conversation, which was weird for me because I didn't even know that at that time that Delaware was the. Maybe this is going to be edited out of the podcast for IRS
states,
reasons.
No, I'm pretty sure the IRS would have sniffed it out in the last 26, 28 years. I get taxed 50%. What's the sniff out? 51? Jesus. Get off my back, Fed. I remember my first Camp Wilder check. You negotiated my deal with Ruth Ann Secunda for Camp Wilder. Me, Jerry O'Connell, Hilary Swank, Mary Page Keller, who was just on Mad Men for a while.
And Tina Majorino.
Jared Leto. A lot of people on this one sitcom that was on Friday nights. It was on Step by Step with Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers.
Yep.
And Urkel. It was a whole run. We were on the last. Anyway, real quick. And you, when we were doing my deal, you said, in my opinion, get as much money for the pilot as possible because these things never go to series. So I got like probably $100,000.
It was huge at the time. It was super.
In like 1990, I got $100,000. I was 20 years old, and somebody handed me a check for $100,000, and you're like, these things never go to series. Get all the money you can for the pilot, and just don't worry about the episodic money.
I think the word was rarely.
Rarely. And then I was making I was making $10,000.
Yeah, so
but I could have made $50 for the pilot and $25 a week for 25 weeks.
It wasn't 25 weeks, but yes.
It was a full season.
My feeling was that if you became a star, you'd be able to renegotiate easily, and then you would get everything you wanted. So why not get the money for the pilot at that point in time?
You've never steered me wrong. This isn't about you steering me wrong. This is about
no, but you did
why
make.
You incorporate.
You just reminded me that you did make $10,000 an episode, and that's probably
the children
today.
The 5-year-old made $5,000 an episode. I said I'm making $5,000 more than a 5-year-old that comes in and goes, "Hi, Uncle Brody," and goes and picks their nose in a classroom.
And then they have little people working for them.
Oh my
That's
God.
something people who are listening you may not know, but when you're doing half-hour sitcoms, if there are children, a lot of times you're working with little people in the rehearsals because children aren't allowed to.
They have to go to school.
They have to go to school, so the laws are very strict that you can only have a child for a certain number of hours. So you work many episodes with Brad Williams.
We got Maddie. We got Maddie Boy on mics. You guys can stop. What did they do? Maddie's my snuffleupagus. Did you guys hear what Maddie said? My parents came to visit me on the set of Camp Wilder, and it was a rehearsal. They fly out from New Jersey. I fly in first class with what was left of my $10,000 check. And they're sitting in the bleachers at ABC out by Vermont, like the old ABC where they did the news.
Yeah.
And a soap opera. And all of a sudden, Jerry O'Connell comes downstairs, and two midgets, Brad Williams calls himself a midget. Midgets, I know they're little people. Still, one of them, still a friend of mine, Kathy, runs, and they go, "Uncle Brody, Uncle." These are 35-year-old midget women, grown women. And, like, my friend's over, and it's like a 60-year-old, like, dwarf, like, "How's it going, Uncle Brody?" And the two dwarfs, like, jump in Jerry O'Connell's arms. And he's holding, like, these are, like, 110-pound people. Most of it head. They weigh. And the long drive home. Now, why are both of you... This makes me bananas.
What?
But Barry puts his hand over his mouth, and you set your mic down.
Because I cannot believe how politically incorrect you are.
Brad Williams just lost a limbo contest because his head was too heavy. Have you seen the video?
That's one man. One man can be...
In a world.
You don't think... When Chris Rock is on Oprah and she says, "Do not say the N-word," and he says niggerish, and she's like, "Chris, please," and whatever. There could be one person who's not saying the right thing.
I said a midget with a huge, most of it head, and you just said that word.
I didn't say the N-word. I said an extension of what was said by Chris Rock on Oprah.
Right.
I quoted Chris Rock.
Here's my point. Dwarfs, grown-up dwarfs, are jumping in Jerry O'Connell's arm. He's 19 years old, and he's holding a 40-year-old woman in his arms, and she's going, "Uncle Brody, Uncle..." And they're not, like, good actors. They're doing a job. They're helping us out. They're stand-ins. "Uncle Brody, I did a really good job in my homework today. How is third grade?" He's talking to a 40-year-old lady. And then the drive home, then we finally get back to my apartment in the valley, the old
And I just
Academy
want to
Village.
prep...
And my parents go, "I just can't for the life of me figure out the situation with Jerry and his niece. I just can't figure it out." My dad is just absolutely flummoxed. And I go, "Oh, my God." And I laugh like a jackal. And I had to explain to them what you were trying to explain, is that when you work with children, the stand-ins are little people.
Yeah, and I just want to preface what Jay's saying is these are actual professional stand-ins. It's not like little people can't be actors or can't be great actors or aren't. It's just that these people
I don't think
are
people thought
hired
they
for...
pulled them off the street, Cats.
They're hired for, like, what is it, $53 a day? Any stand-in or anything like that is something like that. Or
I don't know what the rate is for little people stand-in, but it's probably the same as
Listen, if I can make $5.30 off somebody...
You'll do it?
I will not do it.
So my first check, $10,000.
$10,000.
I go to get my... They go, Thursdays is payday in the world. I didn't know that. I always worked like at diners and stuff.
This is a great story.
My check is for $2,500. I bought a Mustang. I bought a gold Rolex. I was acting like quite the swag, right?
Yeah, because what happens is when people don't realize this, when you get into a certain tax bracket after not being in it, you're used to working at what was the job you had?
Friar tuck in.
Tuck in. So you're used to your check having maybe 22% taxes taken out. But when you
not even.
So when you get
18%.
Yeah, so when you get to a certain level, then they're taking like 47%.
No, it was 50, dude.
No,
it was 50.
Oh, it was 50?
It was 50
and
fucking
then,
percent.
And then the agent, sometimes when the check goes to them, sometimes they take out their check and sometimes they send the manager. And then by the time you get your check, it's like...
but you and the agent...
I'm not going to say what I want to say because apparently I've repeated it before.
What?
After you get the check, it's like, it's $6 and a...
Just say it. Just you be the...
a bucket of chicken.
I think you say niggerish.
Can't believe you said that word.
$6 and a Subway token and a bucket of chicken, man. So my first check was for $2,500. Now you may be saying to yourself, how does that happen? How is that And believe me, that's a crazy amount of money for walking in and going, hey, who drank all my root beer? And walking out. Hey, where's your loofah? It's in France. It's a museum. And you leave like sitcom jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But you think you're getting $10,000. That's the deal. That's what you've told your family. It's 10. You're 19. If you're listening to this, imagine if I told you next week you're going to make $10,000. You're going to be pretty stoked. And the check comes for $2,500 and you go, I just bought a car. I just bought a car for $25,000. What's happening? And I went like, there's been a mistake. I called you. There's a mistake. Something wrong. And you're like, my man. You're in a big tax bracket, man. So Abrams Artist takes 10%.
Yeah, so
you take 15%. So 25%. But they're not taking after the government takes 50%. They're not taking you're not taking your percentage off of $5,000.
No, that's something the audience should know as well. In our business, if you haven't explained it in the past, agents, managers, lawyers who are 5%ers, they take the percentage of whatever the gross amount of money is. So if you're making $10,000 an episode, and then automatically, if you have a lawyer, a manager, and way back then it took 15 and then 10, so you got 25%. So that's $2,500 coming out of the 10,000. Then the taxes, that's 50% of the gross, and you end up with $2,500.
Yeah, it was something fundamentally wrong. I could have used LegalZoom at the time, Katz. America was built by innovators and dreamers. Edison, Ford, Jobs, Katz, Cox, Mohr, Corolla. It's inventors and entrepreneurs all around us. People like you, Barry Katz. You got anything you want to patent?
Yes, I do.
What is it? Oh, you can't say it unless you go to LegalZoom.com first.
That's right. I can't say it unless I go to Legal.
Apply for a patent. Secure your invention. LegalZoom.com. Register your trademark. Like Mohr Stories. Like jmohr.com. Do you have a web? Barry Katz Entertainment. You have to trademark it, right?
That's correct.
You do that at LegalZoom.com. They will take care of you from start to finish. They've already helped about 1 million businesses get started right. I'm started off in a good way. Katz is up and running with his big... we've got a big announcement for Barry Katz in a minute. Innovation with LegalZoom.com. And for a limited time, get a special price, you guys, on trademark, copyright, and patent applications by using the referral code MOHR, my last name, M-O-H-R, at checkout. You remember our old friend Finesse Mitchell?
Yes.
Got a divorce. He tricked her. Got a divorce. Got all the divorce paperwork on LegalZoom.com and just asked her to sign it. And she signed it.
Wow.
And he's like, he tricked her. And I just got an email from a guy that did something on LegalZoom, but I forget. Protect your creations. Launch your dream. LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom can provide self-help services at your specific direction. They can connect you to an attorney. They're not a law firm, but don't forget to use my last name, Mohr, as a referral code. LegalZoom.com. Do it, you guys. It's cool. And Barry Katz, very fun announcement we're going to make. Use the Amazon link. Go to jmohr.com. Click the Amazon banner. This is good stuff. JJ, after countless times hearing you say, do you take emails? Do you have a website for people to email you?
Yes,
advice?
I do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What is it?
They go to my website. It's contact@barrykatz.com.
I never knew that, and I've known you since I was 18 years old.
Well, I mean, it's just instead of emailing like me getting all these emails, I like to go through them in a different spot, and I get a lot of them. It's amazing. It's amazing since this podcast, and this is my 10th one with you. It's just...
Is this the 10th?
10th one in a year and a half, and it's just been unbelievable, the responses.
Go to jmohr.com, click the Amazon banner. You can save a little bit of money, you guys. Hey, JJ, after countless times hearing you say, it's the easiest way to support the show, and thinking that is easy, I should just do it, I, all capitals, finally used the Amazon link at jmohr.com. Bought my girlfriend a dog ear necklace for her birthday that tells her she's capable of accomplishing magnificent things. I know you appreciate having a strong, capable woman in your life, so I bought something that will support two people that make me laugh. So there it is. Love more stories. And can you do a full episode of Colin Quinn? Fucking amazing. Cheers. Jeff McKinnon.
All right, Jeff. What am I supposed to say as Colin Quinn? Barry Katz. Why does a manager need a website? Well, since when does a manager need, hit me up on my hip, on my pager? God forbid we go to lunch once. That might be the worst Colin I've ever handed in my life. All right, but I still have the face. That's what's important. If you guys could see my face.
Maybe you could see my face if we did Barry Katz and Jay Mohr doing Colin Quinn impressions. You told me about the YouTube experiment, right?
Yes.
America will let you know.
And what ended up happening with that?
America doesn't give a shit. 200,000 listeners per show.
Uh-huh.
It's been up about 4 months, 3 months, since April.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 months around there.
4,000 subscriptions.
Okay,
less than a half of 1%.
All right, time out a second. How many views?
The most views is me getting choked out by Forrest Griffin, 44,000 views.
But how many total views?
I would say 100,000 total, 140,000.
Okay, so 140,000.
But there's 14 videos up.
Okay.
YouTube.com/morestoriesballs. It's over, cats.
I don't think it's over.
Bro, I'll show you right now.
If Conan O'Brien said that when he first started his talk show, it'd be over.
Let me tell you something, man.
If All in the Family said that their first year, they were the 95th out of 96 shows, it would have been over, and we wouldn't have had one of the greatest shows there was.
Did the Germans say it was over after they bombed Pearl Harbor?
I don't know. I wasn't alive then. Unbelievably.
Diamond Push-Up with me and Joe Manganiello from True Blood. 3,000 views. Brad Williams losing at Limbo. Doesn't say how many views. The least views is me and Jason Biggs and Eddie K. Thomas playing Pyramid. I thought that would have been fun. Me and Matty Boy getting choked out by heavyweight contender Brendan Schaub. Justin Willman's Magic Trick got 5,000. Jay Mohr gets choked out by Forrest Griffin, 41,000. Jerry O'Connell, 5,000. Willie Barcena, 2,000. Frank Marino, 3. Brace from Gigolos, 6,700. Look, me and Phil Henry, 5,000. Pete Holmes, 18,000. Big Pete Holmes fans out there.
Okay. And when
Barry Katz, 10,000. Me and John DiMaggio doing two black guys talking about hockey, 15,000. I thought that should have been like in the millions.
Got it. So basically, though, this is what it showed you, if you don't mind me saying. So
did I emphasize enough that if you're going to buy something, you should go to jmohr.com and hit the Amazon banner?
There you go.
Okay.
So, so tell me the top 5, just that you mentioned, just because I'm not looking at it. The top 5 where the choking out was number 1, 44,000. What was number 2? Just approximately.
Pete Holmes.
18,000. Number 3?
Me and John DiMaggio, 10,000.
10,000. And where was my thing?
You're about 10,000 too.
And wasn't there another one you said something was 15,000 or something?
No.
Okay. Whatever. We'll rewind the tape. But the bottom line is, and you've done how many of those?
I don't know. Cats.
14. He said 14 already.
Okay, sure.
14. Okay.
Just guessing.
So America did speak. The one thing that got 4 times more views than anything else you have up there was the holy shit moment of you getting choked out.
Yeah, people thinking I'm dying.
Okay, well the reason why people...
I can't keep putting up video. This isn't Jackass 8.
Hang on. The reason people went to see Houdini is they came to see him die. So just remember that.
And he died.
And he died. There you go.
The fuck are you talking about?
But the point...
You know how he died? The exact same way Forrest Griffin punched me. Somebody hit him in the gut when he wasn't looking. Don't you see trains, planes, and automobiles? That's how Houdini died, you know. Somebody hit him in the gut when he wasn't looking.
But the point I'm trying to make is, if I could ever get to it, is that America did speak. They told you created something that really made people want to watch and was exciting. And the animated thing, I believe, is probably your second highest or one of your second highest thing, because you created a moment that was so original and unique with animation that they love that. And so you keep in mind, 0 is a failure. You've reached 140,000 people. You've inspired 140,000 people to look at them. I mean, I think that's pretty impressive.
Okay, but that's less than a quarter of the amount of people that listen to the podcast in a month, over 3 months. All I'm asking people to do when they're listening to our voices is just to open up. Look. I just went on it as we were talking.
Well, could it be that you named it Mohr Sports Balls, and maybe they don't think that you're taking it seriously and it's a respectful thing?
Did you ever think that because I did not use LegalZoom.com that every other name was taken and some squatting fuckface has more stories on YouTube and I can't use my own goddamn name? That's why I'm JMohr37 on Twitter, because some fucking dillhole in Chicago owns J Mohr on Twitter.
Yeah, but
and
that
people go, why 37? The first 36 were taken? No, some guy said, if you want to use at J Mohr, you have to pay me $3,000. And I told him, get fucked. No.
Wasn't worth it to you, the $3,000?
No.
Why not?
Because I got JMohr37 up for free. And if you type in J Mohr Twitter, it takes you to it.
Okay.
Or how about this? If you type in J Mohr, it'll come up. If you type in any celebrity.
What if the guy said to you, it's $1,000? Give it.
I wouldn't pay him. I literally will not hand the guy a dollar bill for that.
Do you know
What about a bucket of chicken?
Do you... Nice.
I don't want to be niggerish about it.
This guy's like Stork from Animal House. He does one line. He just takes...
Oh, my God. Oh. What are we supposed to do, you moron? I believe that was Stork's one line. Yep. Give it up to me, you cock. Stork co-wrote Animal
That's
House
right.
with Harold Ramis.
That's right.
His one line was...
What are you supposed to do, you moron?
What are we supposed to do, you moron? All right, I'm going to type in J Mohr on the old computer here. Oh, look at this. J Mohr, J Mohr Sports, J Mohr Podcast, J Mohr Twitter. Right there.
All
and
right.
I click it. Boom. Okay. At J Mohr37. I literally would not hand the person a dollar.
Well, this is something that
out of my son's piggy bank. I don't give a shit about his money.
See, I think this is a fundamental thing with artists, and you're there's a stubbornness. If somebody else has something and they have a business everybody has to make money, so some people get names of things. I talked to a guy last week. He registered like 3,000 names when in 1995. Every name of every celebrity, everything
He's
like
a scumbag.
that. Everything like that. He owns like a huge estate.
He's a scumbag. He lives in a scumbag house. He's a scumbag.
I mean, it's still a business idea, though.
To take someone's name and right now.
But it's legal to. It was legal to do it.
It's still legal to do it.
Okay, so why is he a scumbag?
Because he knows he's dealing duplicitously to make a dollar. It's a shady way. He knows when he lays down at night, if they want to use their own names that their parents gave them, they got to give me money because I bought their name. He knows it going in.
Have you ever done anything shady to make money?
I did a fucking Snackalicious campaign on the internet.
All right.
Is selling Snickers bars shady? No. But
why are you saying? We're gonna have to edit this one out.
The corporate teat just came right into view, and I went, "Let me finish now." Fucking love Snickers. The peanut butter Snickers. No, the peanut butter Snickers. They don't sell at my pharmacy anymore, and you would have thought like they don't carry my gin.
I think you could.
I'm like, where's the peanut butter Snickers?
I think you could go to the manager and have them order your Snickers.
Have I done anything shady for money?
Why are you repeating the question?
Because I'm really thinking about it. I don't think I have.
Really?
Break it. Oh, shit. Break it down.
I'm not breaking. I'm just asking you.
You've done shady shit for money.
Of course I have.
Is that why you have enemies? That's why me and Maddie talk about this, because Maddie Boy now is helping you with our secret thing that we're going to announce.
Yeah, and I've done things that I've done things.
We can't fit. I don't know why. Like your name, people either go, "You still with Barry?" Great, or they go, or like other podcasts that we won't even say because we deal in positivity here. Even though I just called that guy a scumbag, but I was positive about it. other podcasts, your name will come up, and they'll just smash the shit out of you for like 10 minutes. And people tweet me and go, those people are smashing Barry Katz. And I tweet back, yeah, and right now Barry Katz is minding his own business. And then I stop.
Remember what Buddy Hackett used to say?
Never hold a grudge, because when you hold a grudge, the other guy's out dancing.
Now, could you do it like Buddy?
Never hold a grudge.
Why not?
Because when you're holding a grudge, the other guy is out dancing.
And me and Matty Boy spoke about it. I said, I really think it's because you never like stolen from me. I've never had like Peter Engel or someone you and I or Jeff Gaspin or Jamila Hunter from NBC or like Tracy Fish at the Tonight Show or somebody go like, I got to tell you something about this fucking guy. I've not one person has ever come to me and said, Barry Katz stole this shit from me. Ever. And I think the reason people have a visceral response to you is because you're a Jew. No, is because you, and I said this to Matty Boy completely honestly, you're the only, you have showbiz in you, obviously, but you don't have, like, Brillstein was that way, but he was such a character larger than life, and you are super passive and under the radar. And Brillstein would go, you're fucking terrible. What do you want me to say? And you would laugh. But you will tell a guy to his face, that's a bad idea. And, you know, when you made fun of when you smashed Orny Adams in the Stephen Wright movie, or in the movie Comedian, Jerry Seinfeld's movie Comedian, like, the way you talk to Orny Adams in that movie, Orny Adams for the rest of his life, that guy's a fucking scumbag. And all you did is tell him he was...
I just told him what I thought was the truth.
But it was the truth, because he said, what did Stephen Wright ever do? And he go, he won an Academy Award.
You mentioned Bernie. I have to tell you this, because Bernie was the kind of guy who...
Why do people hate you, Katz?
Why do people hate me? I... Honestly, if I'm the therapy couch right now and I were to say, why do people in the industry hate me? I think that, I mean, not everybody hates me. I mean,
no, it is everybody.
You said I had 100% approval rating.
I'm going to tweet live right now.
No.
Tweet back, yes or no, if you like Barry Katz, and I'll clue you in on it.
Holy Moses.
Truth serum in your veins.
All right, truth serum in my veins.
What did you do shady in this business that would make people have a response negative against you?
This is what I do. I'll tell you a bunch of things. When I negotiate deals, I've always been taught to leave blood on the deals. In other words, just if there's any amount of don't leave any amount of money or any deal term on the table that you feel like you can get. Don't ever be in a situation where you walk away knowing that somebody else got the better of you. If it's there and it's for the taking for your artist, you should do it. And I've always fought hard in negotiations, and that's always been a thing. The other thing that I think I've always tried to do things outside the box. So to give you an example of something you may or may not know or remember, when I was a young manager, I had gotten a few people in Montreal at the festival, and that was one of the biggest. That was the biggest festival in the world, and people would get sitcoms from it by showcasing there. And one year, the heads of the festival told me none of my artists were getting in. And I said,
I was one of them.
Yeah, you were one of them. And I said, that's impossible. I mean, there has to be somebody. No, Barry, this year you're just not going to have anybody. Sorry. And I went to bed, and I got up the next morning, and I started calling comedy clubs in Montreal, but there were only 3 of them. I called the Comedy Works to do a deal where I could bring my artist up there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and take over the club. He said, no, I'm working with the festival. Called another comedy club. They were scared of the festival. And then I called this club called the Comedy Nest, which was run by a guy, the late Ernie Butler. He passed away. He's a wonderful man.
But the name Comedy Nest was owned by the guy that you got off the phone with this week, so they had to pay a finder's fee. Sorry, go ahead.
With LegalZoom.com.
There you go.
Anyway, so I call him, and I'm just this guy from Boston. I don't have anything going. I mean, really, when you think about it. I mean, and I convince him to give me his club Friday, Saturday, and Sunday exclusively, no rent, no nothing, and I convince him that I'm going to pack the place with industry people, and I'm going to make it happen. I haven't spoken to one of my artists. I haven't figured out how I'm going to get the people in the club, and I haven't figured out how I'm going to get the industry people in, but I convince him, I get him to give me a commitment in writing. I had him FedEx me a commitment in writing. LegalZoom.com. And so now I start calling the artist. I'm calling up these people like Daryl Hammond and Jim Brewer and Tracy Morgan saying, listen, I got this showcase in Montreal. It's all ours. And all you got to do is pay for your flight up in your hotel.
See, I would think my managers got rocked. You know what I noticed? You didn't ask me to go. Because you know I would have told you to hit the fucking road. You maniac. I'm going to fly myself to Montreal. If people are getting paid $50,000 to do 20 minutes and I got to pay my own freight,
I didn't.
What kind of manager are you?
I didn't ask you to go because you were on Saturday Night Live. You didn't need to do it probably at that time. So I had people like Chappelle. I had all these people up, and I convinced all of them to pay the money and for the flight, put themselves up, and their meals and everything like that. Now, I told them all I'm going to get all the industry in the world there. It's all going to be there. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, how am I going to do that? Back then there's no email. There's no, you have to either messenger something, you have to FedEx something, or you have to fax it, but then I thought to myself, wait, the Hollywood Reporter and Variety, they're really big. Let me spend the money and put full-page ads in the Hollywood Reporter and Variety.
That's a huge amount of money, a full-page
Back
ad.
then, it was
it's
about
like $30,000.
It was about back then. Again, I negotiated with them very hard, and I got it
That's all
for
people ever think about.
About five. got it for about $5,000 each, and again,
what?
Yeah, because
Where's my ad?
No,
sorry, go ahead.
then.
I interrupt too much.
So, is that what they're saying on the feed? Anyway.
Since day one.
So I do that, and I get the ads. So I'm like, okay, and it's these beautiful ads I design, and because again, you have to bet on yourself, do it. But I put the ads out, but I still don't know if I'm going to get the industry people, and I'm worried about it. So then I pull all-nighters, and I start faxing to every industry person, inviting them to these shows. And unbelievable, then I started following up with calls, and because it was my money, my risk, all these people were counting on me. And I got 250 industry people to come to my shows Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I had people like Tracy Morgan, Daryl Hammond, Jim Brewer, Dave Chappelle, Wanda Sykes, you name it. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I like Jay. He's cute.
And so I do this, and all the industry people are coming to my shows, and they're not all attending all the Montreal shows because I did it separate from them. However, I did something that I have made the mistake of not doing at times, but I did it this time. I called up Bruce Hills. I said, look, I'd like to do this thing at the Comedy Club at the Comedy Nest. Are you okay with it? And he said yes, because he would never believe that I could have the opportunity to do. He never thought that I could ever pull this off. I mean,
right.
He thought it'd be a joke, So I have all those people there in that year. I think it was 1993 or 4. And this is what happens. I get offers for 5 artists to do development deals. But before that, I get calls from the industry, like hundreds. And I mean, it was insane, the amount of calls to meet 12 of the artists or 11 of the artists. But 5 of them got deals. No one in Montreal that year got a development deal. I got 5.
So all the representatives of the comics that were invited to Montreal now in perpetuity think you're a scumbag.
I did something that took the emphasis away from the festival, took
People
the
that
emphasis
were
away from the
invited.
art. People that were invited.
You crashed the party.
I crashed the party, and I stole the party, and I brought it. And because of that, and I don't mean I stole the party, but I again,
see, I don't have a problem with that.
Using the thing of creating holy shit moments, I took something from nothing, sort of like this podcast when you started and there were 0 listeners, and now there's probably 16 million. I decided when somebody said no to me, I wasn't going to accept that, and I wasn't going to let these other people. I thought my artists could compete with these other artists and win.
You're the best roster of anybody.
But the Montreal said, no, Barry, you're young.
You know what it was about your roster, Two Cats, then? You didn't have a single guy that could possibly have been labeled, quote, alternative.
Correct.
Your guys walked in and kicked audiences in the guts. There was no, I'm not going to say any names. You know exactly the type of people I'm talking about, where they're always so clever and they're trying to make like the other clients laugh in the back of the room. Brewer goes on stage. It's over.
Jim-
And Tracy, before he was fucking bananas with
Incredible.
like an IV drip coming out of his toe for his diabetes on a set of cop out. Like Tracy would go, fat Tracy, like it's over. And
It
like
was
Wanda,
incredible.
it was Wanda when she was married, when she was Wanda Sykes Hall. It's
incredible.
over.
Incredible.
And Daryl Hammond, it's over.
Incredible. And Daryl Hammond, I remember, was stopped at the border because he had something that was on his record.
Bahamian arrest for drug possession.
And he
spent
would,
time in jail.
yeah, he smoked African babinja weed.
I believe it was something a little lighter in color, but go ahead.
Baby. So the point is that
I respect the effort.
yeah. So the sorry,
What was that?
sorry, I got a little sorry, Affleck. So again, so I do this. So there's all these industry people there. There's agents, there's managers, there's performers, and here I come in and I make this thing happen. And the funniest thing, which no agent or manager saw, were the meetings. Now, this is where you come in, and you're going to remember this, and this is one of the greatest times of our life. This was crazy. Jay and I don't know if you guys know this, but we lived together in a house on Willow Glen next to another
Rath.
manager, Dave Rath,
Doug Benson,
Todd Glass,
Alan Murray,
Now, Todd Glass,
Brian Posehn.
they all lived
All
there.
in one house.
Now, Todd Glass, you'd think they all lived there. Todd Glass lived there, but we used to be on the balcony, and, we'd see this guy just walk out the front door with his back to us, stand on the side of the road with pee coming out, shake it off, walk back in the house, and we'd wonder, who is this guy? And it was Todd Glass.
The bathroom was one flight up.
And
He was
so-
too fucking lazy.
So one day I knocked on the door. I never even told you this. I said, I got to find out who this guy is and what he is. I knock on the door. He answers the door. He's in a bathrobe. Now, you walked in the foyer of this house, and there was a stairway going up and a wall, and there was just a curtain across. I'm like, hi, I'm just wondering, are you the guy who goes in the bushes and pees all the time there? Yeah, that's me. I said, do you live in here? He said, yeah, it's my room right here. And he pulls the curtain, and he's living in the foyer of the
A mattress and a desk.
mattress
With a picture
and
of
a
Saint
desk.
Bernard named Murphy.
That's right. And I said, oh, is that why don't you go to the bathroom? It's just upstairs. It's too far a walk. I figure I can just walk out and pee there. So one day you were having a party, and I'm looking downstairs, and I see a policeman outside their place. I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? It's the back of the policeman, and I said, officer, is everything okay? I turns around, it says, it's Todd. Oh, how you doing, Todd? Is there like some kind of a Halloween party? It's not Halloween. Is there some kind of party where you just? No, I like to have fun on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean you like to have fun? I like to drive in my car in a police uniform and pull over hot girls and people and also
Bust hookers.
and also
drive 'em around.
bust hookers.
What are you doing
and-
out here? Get in the car.
I said, you go out as a fake cop? I said, that's a
felony.
That's a felony.
A
He
big
said,
felony.
nobody catches me.
Hey, you know what? It's Western costumes. So what's the meeting you're going to talk
What's
about?
the car?
It was just a regular
So
car.
minivan?
Not even. Yeah, it was like an Astrovan. It wasn't even close to like a cop car.
So
It wasn't a Crown Vic.
That's ballsy.
Crown Vic would have been tight.
So most of
We
these
could have. You and I could have pulled it off easy.
So most of these artists that were getting the response and interest from the studios and the networks lived in New York City. So now I have to tell them that they have interest and these people want to meet with them. Now, I'm new to L.A. I can't go to several different meetings, so now I have to do something that has never been done before in this town. I have to convince these studios to take 3-hour blocks of time or 2-hour blocks of time where I can go to the meeting and be there with every person in a row. Because I'm not going to go back to Sony 6 times. I want to go once. And so these people are coming out. They don't have a place to stay. So I say, thinking that, Jay wouldn't have a problem. I say, hey, you can crash with me.
I remember Brewer on my couch for a week.
So literally,
I tortured this
one
poor
day Jay comes home from New York or some trip or what SNL. He comes back. There's like 7 guys sleeping on the floor in his living room.
It was like Royale Watkins.
And all these people sitting, and he walks
JB
down.
Smoove,
JB Smoove.
Brewer.
And he just walks.
All I hear is Brewer going, "Shut up!"
And they're yelling, "Shut up!" back and forth. And all of a sudden, Jay just snaps and he says, "Get out! Get the fuck out of my house, all of you! Tony Woods, you too!
Oh yeah,
Get the fuck out!"
Oh, what's wrong, Shorty?
So at like,
But Brewer, you can stay. If you know what I mean.
but at like 2 a.m, Jay comes in and he just throws everybody out, and they all have meetings the next day and everything like that.
I do remember that. I think I did I said, I don't want to seem racist, so I'm going to let a black guy and a white guy stay because I really just wanted to hang out with Brewer. So I let Tony Woods and Brewer stay. But then Tony Woods stayed at my apartment in New York for some reason for like a year. And like 3 years went by after me and Tony Woods parted ways, and there was a message on my answering machine at St. Mark's Place. "Hey, what's up, Shorty? It's Tony Woods, man. Hey, I left a pair of pants in your closet. Them shits is size 40 long, player. Don't even try them shits on. They ain't gonna fit you, Jay Mohr." Tony Woods, like, tall, handsome brother.
Yeah.
Like, they ain't gonna fit you, Jay Mohr. Like, don't even try to put them on. I look in the closet, it's fucking, they're hanging there. He was right.
Now, I don't want to
But it
put...
was 3 years. That one pair of pants, you're like, oh, I know where they are. They're in Jay Mohr's apartment from 3 years ago.
Now, I don't want to paint you as a guy who didn't put people up, because literally
Who the fuck would want 7 people?
literally Sarah Silverman used to stay with us on Blakesley. I mean, a lot of comedians stayed with us, and you were very generous. But this was this one time where you just walk in and there's like 8 people in the living room. You're like, this is enough. So anyway, to make a long story longer, you asked me why I'm not, so I do this. I take all these meetings, these crazy meetings, and we get 5 development deals. And literally, after the word gets out of these 5 development deals, I get a call from Disney. They want to do like a 4-year executive producer deal with me to bring talent and develop shows. And I never and they said that we want you to come. We'll fly you out first class. We want to show you what we're going to do for you because, again, the appearance, like other studios and people were interested in me when maybe they weren't so much. And they gave me, they said, listen, we want you bad. Let me show you where you're going to be. They gave me the top floor of that building across from the studio, the 2600 building, this corner office and this whole, like a quarter of the floor. They gave me my own assistant, all the food and beverages, everything. They paid for everything.
But shouldn't you have reimbursed the comics' flights?
How can I reimburse 18 comics' flights and then also...
Don't you think they want a corner office at Disney too? You got passive income well into $30,000 a month at this point.
No.
Yeah. Whoa. Hold on a minute. No. Corner office, the entire top floor, an assistant. I would say that's about $30,000 a month, right?
Well, that's what you would say, but that's not correct.
Let's say it's let's say it's $10,000 a month, which is absurd because there's no. It's $10,000 a month. It's the top floor across from the 2600 building.
I remember sitting down at the desk and opening up the desk. God, this office is so cool. I opened up the desk. There's all these 8x10s of Sinbad. I took over Sinbad's office.
All right, so I'm going to go back to $20,000 a month. I love Sinbad.
It's awesome.
So, all right, so now we're getting...
Did a special.
We're getting deeper into this.
So
why people may have resentments. Those comics that had to pay for their own freight to go to Montreal...
Yes.
They come visit you. You got this big giant ass office. They're still out $600 from Montreal. They didn't get a deal. You got deals for 5 guys.
But 5 of them got a deal.
6 of them didn't, and they're visiting you on their own dime, and they see you living high in the hog, and they see a fucking Homeboys in Outer Space poster that you got 2 clients on, and they're like, "Well, where's the kickback, bro? Remember when you asked me to come to Montreal to help you out, and we were going to take the world by storm? You took the world by storm, and I'm playing Uncle Sputchy's Chuckle Hut in Levittown, Long Island."
Well, maybe I created the opportunity for them, and maybe that's what happened. But maybe that's why you're right. Maybe that's why people. But here's the next thing that I did.
Right, you glossed right over that, didn't you?
Well, this is slightly, but this is going to get to it. This is going to get...
That's because none of them...
I feel like Reagan at the Iran-Contra hearings.
I don't recall.
But this is the next thing that people took, I think...
This person, Good Barry, writes, Barry Katz is the head nigga in charge. Hashtag HNIC.
I can't believe you said the N-word again.
That's what he wrote. Get a helmet. Yes. Great stories and keeps JJ on track. Also, I should let you finish that if that's what he said. But a lot of people are hashtagging no biting man. Hell yeah, honest and inspirational. No biting man. Where's our girl, Alyssa Shineson? I'll get to it, Maddie. There's people here. Yes, his words, Alyssa Shineson, yes, his words are inspiring and motivating. Love him. I guess some people want to be stroked and not told the truth. That's what my theory was with Maddie Boy. E-Voice Cats, don't forget that story. Having your own receptionist would be great, like if Disney gets you your own receptionist.
Yes.
But you'd have to pay her and smell her perfume. And what if it's some guy receptionist?
You scared me there for a second.
Huh? Oh, yeah. You got to get E-Voice because you don't have to pay salaries. E-Voice is why thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs like Barry Katz use E-Voice to enhance their image, work faster. You can make more money because you're not paying a receptionist. E-Voice, try it for free. When you go to evoice.com, use the promo code JAY, my name, with eVoice as your virtual assistant. This is cool. You guys are going to like it. This is like something, I believe Katz had this, and so did Matt Frost. With eVoice as your virtual assistant, you get your own toll-free number, dial by name directory. All your calls will be professionally answered and routed wherever you want. eVoice types out your voicemail messages and emails them to you instantly, just like a real receptionist. But you don't have to pay her or him or smell that stupid perfume. With eVoice, your toll-free number and virtual assistant start at only $10 a month. That's it. $10 a month? Operate like a boss, but stay lean like a startup. eVoice has been mentioned by both Inc. magazine and Forbes. I believe in eVoice. I want you to believe in eVoice. I want you to try it for free right now for 30 days. Go to eVoice.com, promo code JAY, eVoice.com, promo code J, or just go to jmohr.com. Click the eVoice banner right now. eVoice. I do actually think you had something like a primitive version of that when I would call you, and it was dial by name directory, but it wasn't smooth like eVoice. Did. So you took all the meetings, you did all that.
So this is the next thing where people might feel a little bit of weirdness towards me. So I get the deal. The first day I'm there, I'm in the office at Disney. I look out the window, and I'm just like, wow, this is just... I remember a lawyer did my deal who is your lawyer.
Klein time?
Debbie Klein.
Klein time.
And I met with... This will give you an example also, anybody listening, of what's possible. Because this is really amazing. So I met with 3 attorneys who were recommended to me, who shall remain nameless. But one of them was Debbie Klein, who is a great attorney, but at the time was a young attorney, and I met her in her office, and her office was literally a tiny office, maybe, when I say tiny, maybe it was 8 by 10, 10 by 10, 12 by 12 at the most, for Hollywood standards.
We get it, Katz, the lady in a small office. Jesus Christ. Maybe 7 by 11. 13 by 9.
Couldn't fit an L desk.
You definitely could not fit an L desk.
There's a point to the story.
Dirk Nowitzki could not have laid down and stretched his arms out.
So I sit down and I meet with her, and I have a great conversation with her. And I just stand up. I can't take the laughter here. I feel like Freddie Prinze Jr. So anyway, she goes to the bathroom. I look around her office, and I see she's got one photo of this guy that I sort of recognize, and I can't really figure it out. And it's signed, Debbie, thanks for all your help with Mad TV, Jim. Was it Mad? I'm sorry, In Living Color, Jim. And I'm like, oh, I wonder who that is. So I asked her who that was when she came back. She said, that's Jim Carrey. I got some good things going for him. I think there's this new movie that we got going that everybody passed on, and we put him in the lead, and I'm hoping that that's going to do well. Okay? So, what happens? It's Jim Carrey. It's an amazing success story. The next time I visit Debbie Klein, her name is on the door of the law firm, and she's in the corner office. So, I mean, it's just things can change in
How
a
many
second.
comics sleeping in her house?
None. So when she did my deal for me, it was the weirdest thing because she called me and she said, "Listen, I got the deal. This is what it's going to be." And I literally, I was stunned because I couldn't believe what it was. Obviously, a small amount of money, like you said. And I said, I can't believe I only have to pay you 5% because lawyers got 5% back then. And she paused on the phone. She says, "Well, you can pay me more if you want to." And I said, "Thank you very much for doing this deal for me." And the next step is I look down afterwards, and there's a little car shop. You know, one of those little places that sell cars that maybe there's 10 cars in. And I look down and I see this black car. And it looks like a really sporty car. And I look down and I can just see written on it, 24,999. So I go downstairs on my first day. I go down. It's a Ferrari. It's a black Ferrari.
I remember the black Ferrari. I
Okay.
stole it.
So this is what I'm going to say.
I was drunk and I stole his Ferrari for like 2 days. He thought he boarded it stolen.
So I
pulled up to the Laugh Factory and it was like, whoa. Literally the valet, when everyone's standing in line, like every audience
comic,
member, from Greenblatt's to like, from Laurel, I'm just like, I got like 16 fucking cocktails at me. I was like, fucking up
this
the clutch. Like, what's up, everybody?
But this is what
things are going good. Things are all right, hanging in there.
So this is what I remember. I was always told that perception was thought of as reality. So if you could have a perceived notion that you were doing well, then that would make people know that you were doing well. So I saw this car. I had to have it. Now, to preface what this car was like, I will tell you Jeff Ross's line at a roast with me, and I hope I don't screw this up, or else I'm going to do a retake. He said in 1980.
I don't know why me and Maddie laugh whenever somebody clears their throat. It makes us fucking stupid.
Well, you know why.
I know why.
So he says in 1980, Barry Katz had a dream. His dream was to own a black-on-black Ferrari. And in 1999, Barry Katz's dream came true. He bought a 1980 Ferrari.
That's a great joke.
And that's what I did. I bought a 1980 Knight Rider Ferrari, which I
remember it because my driveway on Willow Glen was almost straight up. So when you came to my house, you would take giant rocks from the street and carry them up like a day laborer and wedge them behind the rear wheels of your car because the emergency brake didn't work.
That's right.
And you were afraid the car was going to roll backwards out of the driveway, but it was going to roll backwards out of the driveway. But you had to do it on city streets. You would just find like garden gnomes and shit out of people's front yard and just literally wedge like a garden gnome under this, like, I can't, this car, man.
I would take them from Todd Glass's front door. So anyways, so I remember the Laugh Factory thing because I called you up. I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you what I did. Okay, I didn't tell you that I bought the car. I just called you. I said, "Are you at the Laugh Factory?" And you said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll meet you there." I pull up to the Laugh Factory. You walk out, and I'll never forget this. I'm about to give the keys to the valet. I have the keys in my hand, and you said a sentence to me. And then you just grabbed the keys from my hand, the valet, and went around him and got in. The sentence was, "Get the fuck out of here." And you just took the keys, got in, and drove off, and I didn't see you again for 48 hours. I was taking cabs all over the town.
I went right to the Improv, hung out at the Improv for a little while, had some pops, went over to the Comedy Store, went back to the Laugh Factory when I'd figured you had cleaned out. When you had taken a cab back to Willow Glen.
So here I am. I got my first deal at Disney. Everything's going well. I got a Ferrari, and I'm driving a cab to work. Because
you stealing the keys, though, that just makes so much sense to me. Just the way you did it, and just like having a few in you, get the fuck out of here, and just grabbing the keys, and boom, and you're gone.
So
I didn't say, like, let me take it for a test drive.
So, no, you just said, "Get the fuck out of here," and you went. So that's... So that's another reason, like when you pull up to the Laugh Factory in a Ferrari when nobody even knows you exist in the business, you know, and you just come and you have a deal, and then the Montreal thing. And then the last thing I think I'll say, there's so many other things why people don't like people and why they do or whatever. But I think when you rally around artists who nobody really gives the time of day to, and at the time, because they're young and they you don't even know if they can act or do anything or be relevant in the business. And those people that you manage, they leapfrog over people who've been doing comedy and stuff for 10, 15 years. And all of a sudden, there's a guy on a sitcom that's 19 years old that you see at Catch a Rising Star doing an open mic night, and now he's getting $100,000 for a pilot. And then you have people who shall remain nameless, managers who represent artists themselves who are like, how many times do you think an artist has said it's not his time?
Oh, yeah. It's a big Boston thing back in the day.
Yeah. It's my time. It's not his time. And so that can...
There are comics, old school guys, that think how old you are is directly related to your level of success.
It's true. And it's like... And that's the thing about, for stand-ups who are listening, the hardest thing to accept is this, okay? Picture this conversation, if you will. You're Louis C.K. when I first start representing you, and I'm myself, obviously. We're doing
You've been fired by the greatest.
Yes, I have.
Chappelle.
Why do you talk about repeating?
I'm the only one.
This guy's like you're not the only one. This guy's a repeater. He repeats all the bad stuff about me, trying to get that negative thing going.
No. Katz, look, you want me to read the tweets back?
He did just say that he does have nice things. He only has nice things to say about you when me and him talk about you, and that's true.
But when I'm in front of him, it's recapping everybody that I've...
Now I know why people don't like me.
This is supposed to be... We're going to get to that next podcast.
Maybe... go ahead. I want you to finish your thing because I was going to make an announcement.
Don't make the announcement yet, but you lost my train of thought.
That's not my concern.
What was I just talking about?
Another reason people hate you.
No, but
you and Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing a little role play here, everybody. Okay,
I'll be Louis.
You're Louis.
I'm a fucking guy, and I'm sitting here on my ass with feet and fucking shit. And Sarah Palin's fucking shit in her fucking ass, and her face is fucking filled with fucking baby's shit cock.
Okay, Louis, I want to talk to you about something. I have some good news and I have some bad news for you.
Fucking AIDS, just sitting here with fucking dog shit and fucking cock, my fucking jeans and my fucking
Louis,
hands and fingers,
Louis,
attached to fucking arms and freckles and shit. And
Louis,
fat,
focus.
Fucking running 5 months for this. This is my
Focus. I have good news and bad news for you.
All right. Which one do I want first? I want the good news first.
All right. The good news is, Louis, you're going to be writing, creating, starring, executive producing, directing, editing, doing the music for your own show. And you're going to win 2 Emmy Awards, and you're going to be the most revered comedian in the world.
Said this to Louis C.K.
No, we're doing a role play here.
Oh. I was like, holy shit, Katz.
Imagine this if you're an artist, okay?
All right, that's amazing. What's the bad news?
The bad news is...
the listener needs to know. Katz with his thumb is letting me know if I should be saying good news or bad news. He goes, all right, Louis, I got good news and bad news. And Barry goes like with a big hop, but he's saying up. Instead of good news, he's doing a thumbs up over his head, and he's mouthing the word up. So I go, okay, I'll do the good news. And you're going to win 2 Emmys. Down, man, down. That's why we're fucking...
Well, how do you symbolize good and bad if you're on the radio or on a podcast? What would you do?
I don't know. It's not my story.
All right, now we got to do the story over again. We should just go with the...
So Louis, I got some good... I'm going to ask you. You asked me for the good news first. I got some good news. I got some bad news.
Yeah, so let's start the story again.
No, come on.
All right, so what's the bad you're going to say?
All right, so the good news is I'm going to win 2 Emmys. I'm going to write, direct, do the music, and compose, and I'm going to be a star of it. And what's the bad news?
The bad news is it's going to happen 28 years from today.
Wow.
So that's the thing about artists, which they don't realize, is that there's this thing that happens that there's never... I defy you to name one stand-up comic that has a show that went to syndication and half-hour comedy that's been doing comedy less than 10 years. Roseanne wasn't doing comedy 10 years?
Probably not. She's from Utah. Who the fuck does comedy in Utah?
Let's assume that's true.
Like we're gonna fight. Look, motherfucker.
Let's assume that's true. What year did her sitcom get on?
A long time ago. So now
Like
her
30 years ago.
her 28 years goes in the other direction. She goes first, kaboom, or Sinbad up front, kaboom, and then it's 28 years. Me, for example, kaboom, and 28 years.
You've never had a show go to syndication. However, you have had a show that you created that went, I think, 100 episodes, which is Last Comic Standing. But you've been in the business how many years?
Thank you, House. I've been in the business 28 years.
28 years, no show that... What's the longest amount, the most amount of episodes you've ever done in half-hour television?
Last Comic Standing.
I'm talking about in half-hour scripted television.
2 seasons.
2 seasons, about 44 episodes.
My wife goes, I don't know how you remember everybody, because my wife remembers nothing. And I go, I finally figured it out. It's because every show I've been on only lasted 12 weeks. So I know everybody. Every show she's been on went 6 years, and it becomes the fucking blur of human beings and dwarfs jumping into people's arms. Boom!
So if you're a comedian,
we need a callback button or something.
So if you're a comedian and you're creating your own show, the odds are against you if you haven't been doing comedy 10 years because you haven't found your voice. You don't have the maturity to deal with the craziness that can happen. I mean, I was just on the phone with somebody who it was a fascinating thing. They remembered they were around when I had Chappelle, and he had his last sitcom, the 7th out of 8th pilot that he did, and I'll never forget. We had a meeting with Peter Roth, who was at Fox at the time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And we go there, and they have a conversation that they want one of the cast members to be Caucasian instead of African American. And he just lost his whole self. He couldn't handle it. And the next day, there was an article in the Hollywood Reporter saying that that company was racist, and that he was leaving the sitcom. He wasn't going to do it. And he was out. I don't even think they had a name for it yet, but it was ready to do a pilot. So, because a lot of times it's an untitled show. So the point is that a lot of people are in situations where they're not ready at the time mentally for the stuff that has to happen. Even Dave.
Everyone listening knows what I want to say the name of the sitcom was. Go ahead.
No, that's another story it's an unbelievable story about that sitcom. That was the one before it. And that was
We're literally.
Oh, you're not. I know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Chris Rock on over. The name of the sitcom was with Chris Rock.
Yeah. And so a lot of people
whoa.
I wish that was true.
Even Chappelle in when he had the 10 years under his belt and he did the Chappelle Show, which is the most successful. Pound per episode, the most successful half-hour show in history, probably.
Inside Amy Schumer. Kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, Dave Chappelle Show has sold more DVDs than The Simpsons, and they've done 350 episodes, and he did 22 or something like that. And so, but the thing is that even 10 years in, when he had the Chappelle Show, there's there's regular intelligence, which I don't mean to give you a big head, but if people don't know about you, you're a very brilliant guy. You have a photographic memory. You're school knowledge. But there's also emotional intelligence with your ability to deal with things and how you deal with things and how you handle things, which I would say on the air here is not as strong as your intellectual intelligence.
It's also new. It's like a toddler.
Yeah.
The one has a
and so comedians tend to have this creative intelligence and this amazing intelligence when it comes to whether they're book smart, college, or that kind of creative intelligence. But the emotional intelligence and how to navigate through situations that are these really rough situations that they're not used to, where people are coming at them at all different directions, it's very, very difficult. I mean, and I don't know how much. I don't want to take up too much time, but I think this is an amazing story when you think about it. With Dave, I mean, he's a guy that I think it could be argued, and we've had disputes about this a lot. But I think he's one of the most brilliant guys I ever met. From when he was 18, he just had this natural ability. Dave Chappelle.
He was 16 when you met him.
16. And he just had this natural ability that just, and it wasn't that he was working hard. It wasn't that he was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and working till 2 o'clock. In the beginning, he didn't work hard at all. It was this natural thing where, I mean, the guy pissed comedy. I mean, he just could go up, and it was frustrating to artists that worked really hard because they didn't understand. But you could never dislike this guy as much as you tried. He just was just a lovable guy who didn't have an angry bone in his body. But what happened, and that phrase that you say that I always forget, systematically.
This business is designed to systematically deduct joy from the moment of closure.
Yes. So what happened with Dave in the beginning, you start getting the pilots and it's exciting and you're working, and then the first one doesn't get picked up and the second one doesn't get picked up and the third one. And then all of a sudden it's 7 pilots in 8 years that don't go anywhere. And then you do a pilot with your best friend Jim Brewer, and then just when it's about to air and there's full page ads in TV Guide, you get the call saying they're firing Jim Brewer and they're retooling the show and it's not going to air. And so all these things keep happening where you keep taking punches in the face, and then with the Chappelle you start losing trust and you start losing faith. And your emotional intelligence, your instincts tell you, I don't trust anybody. I'm going to get fucked. It's going to happen again. It's like somebody who's been married and divorced.
So when Doug Herzog has a check for $55 million, Chappelle goes, something's going to happen when I go pick it up.
Yeah, it's just you just.
But Neil Brennan had a good point when he was here. He goes, people always act like he just turned down $55 million. He had 10. It wasn't like he had $0 and went, man, fuck it, I'm going to be a pauper.
Yeah,
he had 10.
But after taxes and commission, he only had $2.5 million.
Oh, cats! Dun, 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 dun. You said something very interesting that I want to touch on, and we'll bring this full circle. And that is, he didn't work hard at all, and a lot of comics that do work hard resented it. I don't work hard at comedy. The writing, and John Heffron's been here, and we've had great. John Heffron's one of the most naturally funny people in the world. Never wrote a joke down in his life. Goes on stage and talks about his childhood, talks about his dad, talks about his marriage. That's it. And I think the guys that are you can correct me on this or give your opinion of it. I think the guys that are quote unquote working really hard at comedy, that doesn't seem right to me. I think when you are like Chappelle. And I'm not putting myself in Chappelle's category as a comedian. Calm the fuck down, everybody. I'm saying add the approach. Wake me up. Tell me I'm doing a show at Oberlin College. It's at 9 o'clock. And just drive me there. I'll go on stage and we'll just do an hour. And that's how I am. That's how Brewer is. That's how Chappelle is. Like the guys that you and I, those guys, Red Johnny the Round Guy, like those, Nick DiPaolo, he doesn't give a fuck. Just show him a stage. It's over.
Well, this is what
I think comics that are working hard, sitting and writing and matching and doing this and making it tactile and making it typey and Excel spreadsheet. I think working hard in comedy has to have a different definition, and I think working hard in comedy is showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up. I used to drive to Buffalo for $50, and I knew I was losing $100, but I knew that I was on stage in Buffalo, and I was going to dominate. Whoever I was opening for, I'm killing them. It's over. It's going to be a very uncomfortable drive home with me driving this headliner from Manhattan. And I've had opening acts that I've offered. Billy Hayes as my witness. I was doing Magoobies in Baltimore. It's a really cool new place in Baltimore. I said, hey, so-and-so, who, by the way, has been doing comedy like 3-4 years. Pretty good full-time job, though. Very funny kid, opened for me a couple times. I said, I'll tell you what. I'll give you $200 to open for me at Magoobies. But I really don't need an opener. I really just need a ride. I was very honest. And he goes, sure. I go, but I'm just going to hand you $200. That's the deal. I'm just telling you that. because I don't have an opening act. I could just go and do it, and they'll get a local guy. He goes, sure, because Billy could have just taken me, and this kid had been opening for me. He calls his agent. What do you think his agent says?
It's not enough money.
Yep. Kid calls me back and said, what about tolls? That's what he asked me. Fucking tolls. Now, the listener may say, it's a fair question. You got to understand, this kid opened for me for about 10 days when I was at different places on the East Coast. I don't want to say names of places.
Even if he hadn't opened for you.
I don't want people to do the math and figure out who he is because he's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
But this kid never went in his pocket in New Brunswick, in Long Island, in Manhattan, never paid for a meal, never paid for a drink, never paid for a Starbucks. It's Billy Hayes and me, La Machine, a cock, me and Billy and this kid laughing and laughing. Maybe I put way too much import on the fraternal community because I was raised like veal by Buddy Hackett and Bob Newhart, who told me that this is a brotherhood and it's the smallest club aside from Living Presidents, and that is headlining comics out there having a gas. Guys like Gaffigan, Briar Regan, me, guys that are playing theaters. And this kid called me back and said, what about tolls? That isn't doing the work. The work is, look, I'm not asking a guy to drive me to fucking Baltimore. I'll take a train to Baltimore. I don't give a shit. You know that.
And I just want you to know. This is
$11. That was the deal breaker. This kid, that was 2 years ago. Don't you think this kid would be headlining Magoobies on slow weekends had he just gone down with me? Don't I always say, look at my opening acts. Ralphie May, Nick Swartzen, Dr. Ken Jeong, Hangover, and from The Hangover, Tom Segura.
Used to represent him too.
Bert Kreischer, and now Sickler. All these guys that have ever opened for me, I've always gone to the club owner and said, you gotta fucking see this guy. Let him go on after me. He can follow me. He can close this room. He can close that room. And the minute I stop paying these fucking guys, they're gone. They're gone.
Which is sad.
It's unbelievably sad because I thought these were my closest friends. And I have stopped calling people to see how long it is before they call me back. And like Master P said, when the money get low, there they go, there they go. And these guys, and you know exactly the guys I'm talking about, Ralphie still checks in. I will say that. But I used to pay these guys $1,000 to open for a weekend.
That's right.
There isn't a comic alive that says, I know the club pays you, but here's $1,000 because I want I created a show for comics. And you can make fun of Last Comic Standing, but you and I both know, God is our witness in our heart of hearts. The reason was for that show was when people would ask me who my favorite comics were, they didn't know who I was talking about. I'd say my favorite comic is Dave Attell. I love this guy. I love that guy. I love
Jim
that
Norton,
guy. Norton,
Ralphie May.
Brewer. These are the funniest guys in the world.
Yeah.
And they destroy. Like Ralphie goes on stage. It's over. I mean, it's over. Comedy draft, first round draft. We talked about it.
Yeah.
But the minute I stopped paying those guys, and now those guys are headlining clubs. And let me ask you this, Barry Katz. Not Ralphie, obviously. Ralphie's one of the most generous men I've ever known in my life, to a fault. Out of all the guys you've ever known that I've paid $1,000, including guys that were quote-unquote road managers, I didn't need a fucking road manager. Just trying to help somebody out. And you know me, I don't have to pay for friends.
You've always tried to help people out, and that's the reason why, if you notice...
But let me ask you this real quick. How many of those comics, now that they're headlining, do you think are going into their pocket to pay their opening act on the road?
Very few. Very few, because it's about paying it forward. And some
one tweet, I could just blow up 8 guys and say, hey, when they tweet from the road, sold out, I want to thank my opening act, this guy in Miami. Do you give that guy $1,000? Because that's what I gave you, since we don't talk anymore.
And you know what's weird is I want to say this, I never ever pushed, even to this day, I've never called you and said, have this guy open.
No.
Even Bert Kreischer, who I represented at the time, you picked on your own. Because I was always worried that, if I suggested somebody to you, that maybe they might do something that was disingenuous, like you're talking. I always didn't want to be in the middle of that,
Ryan Sickler.
even though I believe that people that I work with would be perfect. Even now, today, I know like 20 people.
It's Ryan Sickler, and that's it.
Yeah, so I don't.
Or I just get a local guy that I never heard of, and I just cut him to 10 minutes, and I do an hour and a half. Ryan Sickler flew himself to Denver to open for me. And they put him up at the Comedy Condo, which they don't do for opening acts. Wendy Curtis, though, is just, she's head and shoulders above everybody.
Yeah.
And Ryan Sickler in the green room said to me, I need to talk to you. I know all the shit you've been through with that guy, and I know the bullshit that went down with that guy. I need to talk. They're literally going, are you guys ready for... They're about to bring Ryan Sickler on stage. Ryan Sickler, co-host of the Crab Feast podcast, said, I don't want a fucking dime from you for my entire life. I can't tell you how much fun it is just sitting here having a good time and doing comedy. And guess who headlines the fucking Melrose Improv? Guess who headlines the Irvine Improv?
It's
and
true.
He deserves it. And we've never had a discussion about anything. He checks in.
And then if you do try to give him anything, even if he turns it down or he doesn't, it doesn't matter, because the fact is, I remember something that happened long ago where I learned this lesson. A guy who got me started, Chance Langton, a comedian in Boston.
Give Chance a piece.
What is it?
All we are saying, give Chance a piece.
Anyway, so Chance got the opportunity to open for Rodney Dangerfield. And he got like a tour, a New England tour with Rodney Dangerfield. And he was killing and getting standing ovations. And I remember he drove back because I was doing the door for him at a club called Play It Again Sam's, one of the places I met. And he came back to me and he said, look at this, Barry. And he showed me a check. And it was like for like $100 or something inconsequential like that. Can you believe it? This guy's making millions of dollars. They gave me a check for $100. I'm going to talk to him about this. And I said, Chance, don't talk to him about it. Just take the gigs. This is your infomercial to the world that you're there, you've arrived, and you're doing it. He talked to Rodney, never did another date. Never got another date.
Hey, I'm giving you... It is fucking amazing. $100. That is the most schnorr move I've ever seen in my life.
But I mean, it wasn't about that. It's like the thing. It's like there's a young comedian who's really brilliant. Her name is Bethany Dwyer, and she was.
I'm sorry. Did you say a female comedian was brilliant?
Yes, I did.
That just seems odd to me. Go ahead.
And I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but actually, it's public knowledge because you can see on Twitter. She was saying how Gary Shandling tweeted her and said directly, I think your material is brilliant. And I love what you tweet and how you write it, and it's so great. I'm paraphrasing. And to me, there's no money exchanged hands, but it's like no one can ever take that away from you as an artist. When, again, another guy I think is a genius says, hey, you're funny. You downplay yourself and you don't think you're brilliant, but you are.
I think I'm fantastic.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the rest of the country to catch up with how I think about myself.
The thing is, these guys working with you, again, that's like the gift. That's like the gift in the beginning. That's what it is. And
here's what's going to be tweeted as a soundbite of this conversation to person A, person B. Working with you, these people need to understand that working with you is a gift.
In the beginning of their careers, working with you is a gift. It may not be a gift now that they're headlining working with you. It's not a gift. But back then, it was a gift. And that's the thing. And that's, look, you opened for Elon Gold. Maybe Elon hasn't, gotten to the place maybe that he wants to be at yet or whatever. Maybe he will, maybe he won't.
Fun.
But the point is that...
I just wanted a gig.
You got a gig, but...
That's the work I'm talking about. I didn't want to open for fucking Elon Gold at some girl college in Pennsylvania, but that's the work.
But you did the work, but now you're not doing the work as a stand-up, and you said I could dispute what you're saying, and I'm going to dispute what you're saying.
I'm doing more work now as a stand-up than I did the last time we spoke, and the time before that, and the time before that. I have a full-time job. Mohr Sports Radio Show.
I know.
FoxSportsRadio.com.
I know. I'm talking about stand-up only.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not talking about the reasons why or how many jobs or whatever. I'm just saying, back then, your drive to Buffalo and hanging out for 8 hours and thinking about the comedy, and in your hotel room worrying what you're going to do, how you're going to blow that guy off the stage. Those are the hours you put into your stand-up, and you worked hard at it, and that's why you rose so quickly back then. Now you're at a certain level with your comedy where if you disagree with me, you tell me. Your comedy is, I don't want to say it's plateaued because I think it is getting much, much stronger lately as you've done the radio show, because it's really like this thing is kind of inspiring you and really like it just gets your wheels going. But the fact is that your trajectory now, it's like a sprinter who's trying to break the world record and trying to go, it's incremental. You can't, but in the beginning when the sprinter was starting, he'd go take a second off his time.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
Matty Boy can be my witness. Since I started the radio show, Maddie's seen, I would say, 20 of my shows since January.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
I've never put more work into my stand-up. Work. This kind of work. The typing Excel spreadsheet bullshit work. I've never worked so hard to memorize things, to go in certain places, and to be Carlin-esque with the words and the phrasing of certain things and the enormous chunks of new material. I did 2 hours and 20 minutes at Foxwoods because I had to just get it all out. And you can be my witness because you saw the old hour before the Showtime special.
Right, yeah, sure.
And now you see me at the Melrose Improv and you see me like at Irvine and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right,
I've never worked this hard at this can go here. Perfect example. 2 years ago, April Foolishness. What am I going to do? I didn't know what I'm going to do. I was so unprepared. I was nervous. This year, later, dude. Fucking light them up like a sniper. I had it. I'm going to open with this. This leads into that. That leads perfectly into this. That leads into this. And the big call back at the end about the Liberace Museum. We're out of here.
Got it. Well, let's talk about, can we just talk real quickly about a hard-working comic? So there are in every walk of life, it doesn't matter if you're an accountant or whatever.
Glad you're fired up for me and my
I am,
work.
because we're going to get back to that. I am fired up for it.
If you came to one of the shows,
you'd know, Barry.
That's cold.
No, I'm always a little. It's weird that you don't just stop in when I keep telling you I have a new hour and 40 minutes.
Well, now I've got my wake-up call.
Yeah,
I didn't. Sometimes I want to share this with the listeners. Here you go. Sometimes you have this thing about you that's like this, like you're one of those people who never appears to. You often say, "Oh, I can't stand these people who just come by and they just, they pander to the artist, or they come by, or they just shake their hand. They think they're relevant or whatever." And I've always felt that you weren't one of those people. Like, if I showed up, I showed up. If I didn't, I didn't. You always said.
But I'm always a show off at heart, and you've known me since I was wearing. Literally, when you met me, I was wearing a varsity wrestling jacket that said JJ.
That's true.
Stitched right here.
That's true.
Right?
Uh-huh.
I'm still that guy that was a show off.
I guess you're right.
I have an hour and 40 fucking minutes. I'm begging you to get a new special on the air for me.
And you're going to have it. You've always had
I know, but it's like some internet weird shit like Louis and those guys. And I don't want to do that Radiohead, like, if you click here, it's a new release. Say what you want to pay. Fuck that network. Let's get paid and get to work.
Then you'll have something different. You have everything you want.
Let's make our big announcement.
I can't finish this point.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. Don't apologize. So the thing is, there's people in every walk of life that don't work hard, and they get and they rise above us, and they take jobs from us, and they do things that you can't believe. There's people, you go into a bookstore and you see a best-selling author, and you're like, I never heard that name before, and they're making millions of dollars. Or you might be, Herb from accounting, and you've been working in a firm for 15 years.
That's one of the
and all of a sudden, the guy who comes in 5 years in takes a job ahead of you or whatever, and it doesn't seem like he's working as hard. So it happens. Chappelle at the time wasn't.
But those people won't do it for the 28 years.
That's true, and that's the difference.
Where's Fabio? Where the fuck did he come from? What's a Jonas brother? Where are they now?
Well,
you know what I mean? You got to do Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours. Michael Jordan, all the natural talent in the world, was the first. Larry Bird, most natural talent in the world. First guy in the gym, had a key to the fucking gym, 100 free throws in a row. If he clanked number 98, he started back at 0.
That's right.
When no one was looking.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. So all those people that can come and snatch a job, and they come out of nowhere and they sell $1 million of books or whatever, and they're friends of somebody else that's on a show. You know what? Keep it positive. It's 28 years.
But for those of you...
Is it going to be like Wanda Sykes? She had a show. She had 3 shows.
Yeah.
But you know what? She's headlining Borgata Casino
and she might
20 years after that show.
That's right. And going full circle to Louis C.K., if you were interviewing Louis C.K., he would tell you he wasn't the smartest worker in comedy.
Just a fucking guy that's an idiot that's here.
He wouldn't tell you. But he
chair on a fucking floor with AIDS.
But he just continued.
Shit and fucking
but he just
Africans.
But he just continued and fought forward and drove forward and one foot after the other, as they say, and you just keep going. And that's the way it is if you're a stand-up or anybody in this business. It's just about keeping going, keep pushing forward. Nothing ever... Comedy is sort of like renovating your house and hiring a contractor. It never happens before the date they tell you, and it always costs more.
And when it does happen before the date, you got to redo that shit in a little while.
That's right.
You come home and the arbor's done, you're like, wow. And then a year goes by and you're like, this sucks. This is not a very well put together machine here.
And so you just got to put
Barry Katz from P. Pernod. Get a helmet. Great stories. Barry Katz, I rather like him because he reminds me of Broadway Danny Rose. He's the best, Joe. Barry Katz is the man. Number 41, Dallas Mavericks. And nobody's going to bash 4 Barry Katz in public. Maybe Jim Brewer would.
Interesting.
That's what this person says.
Jim Brewer, and I don't know what it is.
Looks at wrestling kids. No biting, man. Katz is the best guest ever. I'm going to let you get to that real quick. Jay Holland Mohr. There was no one like Barry Katz. They broke the mold with that one. He should teach a class. Funny that should be said. July
15th?
July 15th. Barry Katz, under the tutelage of Matty Boy, who will be producing Barry Katz's own podcast right here on Fake Mustache Studios. Oh, shit. Twitter just broke. What? Blow it up, partner. At The Real Hey Matty. At 4 Barry Katz. You are going to do your own podcast. It's called Industry Standard with Barry Katz.
All because of you.
No, man.
And it's just, I thought to myself, there's no manager, producer person doing anything with that side of the business. And I thought to myself, there's so many people on the other side of the camera that have inspired millions of people.
Showrunners, show writers, staff writers.
That's right.
And I'm not going back to the Brewer thing because it doesn't matter, because you and I are 2 people sitting in a room that can, with truth serum in our veins, would say, Jim Brewer, upper 1% of the funniest people that have ever walked the planet.
Incredible.
I don't know anybody that's made me laugh harder in more different ways and never has laid an egg on me as far as comedy goes than Jim Brewer. And I know you don't have a bad thing to say about Jim Brewer.
Never.
So when those of you wondering, listening, they never got back to the Jim Brewer. There's nothing to get back to. Jim Brewer can say whatever the fuck he wants because Barry Katz and Jay Mohr say Jim Brewer is one of the greatest goddamn comedians to ever walk the planet.
Love him.
Barry Katz podcast, Industry Standard, starts July 15th. You're going to want to follow him on Twitter so he can make his cool announcements. For Barry Katz, Matty Boy's The Real Hey Matty. And I put this young stallion, the Italian stallion, little Matty Boy, with his Johnny Depp mustache in charge. I just handed him the reins.
I couldn't be happier.
All right, here's one. Ready? Hey, without at 4 Barry Katz, who knows where I would even be today? That tweet was sent from Pat O'Brien's chair.
Wow.
Pat O'Brien's chair is a Twitter account.
Wow.
Hashtag garage sale.
So that must have been your old chair that you sold to Pat. No?
Good, maybe.
And before that, it was Sinbad's.
There you go.
Doesn't the Twitter name for Barry Katz ring the bell for narcissist? That doesn't even make sense. It would be narcissism, I believe. And is Barry Katz taken? Maybe that scumbag that lives in the mansion owns your name on Twitter.
Surprisingly, I tried to get Barry Katz, and some guy has it that's made 3 tweets in 2007 and never, or whenever it was, and never used it again. But the guy who works for you tried to get me that.
Frosty?
No, it was a guy who did your podcast on the radio station, but he said it was difficult getting it, but he's still working on it.
Well,
what were the 2 tweets?
I don't even remember.
It's always something like, I'm gay. I have no more hair. Because there's been like...
And at the time...
the real Jay Mohr. Like, I'm dying of AIDS.
I wish it was I just killed Smokey, and it's just some guy burying cats. just two cats that he had, and he created the account just to kill cats.
How does it feel knowing that this will be the most edited podcast of all time?
No, this won't be edited at all.
No, yeah.
You don't cut any of this out?
No.
People listen to all this banter?
Yeah, we went very long because this is the longest one we've had in a while.
They'll listen to this long thing.
They love you, cats.
That's
and we
crazy.
said special announcement. People drive to jobs they don't like. And this is how they get through their days. They podcast. Guys email me all the time. I work at a factory at night. I drive home at 4 o'clock in the morning. Thanks.
Before we sign off, I wanted to ask you a question about
Virgo.
So, you've done a ton of episodes of this show, and you've gotten a ton of emails and tweets and things like that, and there's been things that have happened within the podcast. Tell me something that, stands out to you as the most inspirational thing that anybody's sent you or anybody's reached out to you that blew you away, that you never could have imagined would happen since you started this.
Mostly it's about addiction and panic attacks and depression. People email me and say, I didn't think I could do it, and I tried it because you and Mike Catherwood talked about it, you and Matty Boy talked about it, you and somebody else talked about it, Steve-O was on, talked about it. I get a lot of emails from people saying, how do I quit drinking on jmohr.com? And I go, just stop. Go to meetings. Get numbers. Just make that your new bar. Just dive head first. And then I'll forget about it. But I got one from a guy. I drive C-140, some type of plane. He flies them out of Afghanistan. It's troop transport planes, big giant planes. And when they clear Afghani airspace, they put on my podcast. And It makes them feel like they're at home. And like,
that's great what you just said. Make that your new bar. I'm embarrassed to say that I have never heard that expression. I think that's an amazing expression.
What?
Make the meetings your new bar, your new spot.
Oh, well, I just made it up on the spot. I never said it before.
That's incredible. That's an incredible piece of advice.
Here's a C-140 model. Yeah, so I get a lot of those, and people like, anything I say is going to seem douchey. People, but you asked. People
no, it's not going to seem...
People that have to sit and go through chemo, and you just sit in a chair for 3 hours going through chemo, and you just listening to more stories and listening to other, like Corolla and stuff. You listen to these podcasts, and you feel, all the characters involved, and when you have repeat guests. So it's been super rewarding for me, and I think it's really helped the stand-up because I haven't been in movies or sitcoms and stuff in a while, and I've taken the desk job of the radio, but the theaters are full because of the podcast. And there is I don't think there's a negative at all.
Well, I think that's, you might joke and say, well, I do it for this, or I do it because there's, something financially in the end to help with the house or the family. But
there's
an
18-year-old in a wrestling jacket. That's who's doing the podcast. I'm a show-off. I got a lot of funny stories, and I got a lot of funny friends, and I want everybody with a goddamn earbud in their ear to hear, listen how funny all my friends and me are when we just sit around and talk.
You are a show-off, but I will tell you one thing I told you before about the radio, and it's something I said, if you had all the money in the world and the health of yourself and your family, and you had a choice to do this 50 hours a week or 40 hours a week, you had to do something. You would you would do this. You would definitely do this. This would be a part of your routine.
I would do the podcast, and I would do my radio show, and I would do stand-up comedy.
And
I probably would not act ever again. Just because I wouldn't have to. I wouldn't have to drive to San Pedro at 4 a.m. and sit around and wait for a crane to go up.
But that's the thing
Waiting on the rain machine.
But that's the thing about television and film that a lot of people who aspire to be in it as comedians don't understand. In comedy and podcasting and radio, and you get to tell your story and do it when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and what time. When you're on a set, you could be literally waiting 8 hours. Your call time could be 8, and they say you're the first up, and things change.
It's infuriating, but you can't complain about it. It's like when you get at Saturday Night Live and you come home and tell your roommate how shitty it was up at Saturday Night Live. They want to fucking slit your throat in your sleep because you're complaining about your dream job. So I could sit here and say, oh my God, on the set of Ghost Whisperer, I made this amount of money. I only worked 3 days per episode. But that one day, they called me in at 9 in the morning. It's fucking 5 at night. They didn't get to me yet. Everyone in America goes, who cares? Blank amount of dollars. And you're incorporated in Delaware because of our friends at
LegalZoom.com. Sorry, I was like Ramos there.
The human rain delay.
But, I mean, I think that's the thing you hit on, and we'll wrap it up with this, is the fact that if you want to be happy in anything you do, take control. And if your chances are you're not happy because you're in a job where somebody else is the boss, somebody else is telling you what to do, you're trying to figure out how to get to the next level. But what's great about you and why you are, I think, very happy professionally is the fact that you have control over this. This is your happiest. Stand-up, too, is your happiest. The radio makes you very happy. But I can guarantee you right now, it doesn't make you as happy as this or your stand-up, because there's somebody else, there's always somebody else. Even though they leave you alone and get out of your way, you still know that there is corporate.
One word over the line, I'm out of there.
Yeah, and that's the thing that...
But I missed 2 days of work for family things. I missed a Thursday and a Friday, and I didn't know what the fuck I was supposed to do that day or the next day. And when I went to work the following Monday, I felt it was like Christmas morning. I couldn't believe how much I love doing that radio show.
Yeah, and they do, and I think you love it a lot also. It's the kind of job, and...
I wish it started at noon, don't get me wrong.
Well, it does in New York. But people I think people, for the most part, they do, a lot of great producers, and what we'll probably talk about, Maddie, on our thing, is that a great producer will always tell you, like, how are you successful?